That's true, right?
Right? Exactly.
I'd stay away from that. That's funny, I just emailed you now. With all the prednisone now.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
least needs your immune system. I mean, just picked up my prescription. Save it.
Right. Do you work with her to try to figure out what's going on?
Yes,
Just to let you know, I have never,
I do not get full text.
but I never call you all the time. You say, Scott needs to get a new phone. Yeah, exactly. Something needs to be done.
Hi, Lucy, how are you doing?
Even 24/7, 24/2.
I don't know. We're just waiting to hear you. I mean, Marshall suggested that you do suggested, but we're not really gonna say much. The mayor's gonna say it.
I think we're here, so whoever needs to give the.
I'm not gonna. Just gonna expect legislation.
You're kidding.
I got that one.
No, you're right, you're right.
Neta, I haven't seen you all day.
Huh?
I haven't seen you all day. It's gonna be over.
Hi.
I told you, not formally met, but Christy, I've been to one or two of the town hall. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good, you know these?
Virtual handshake.
Yeah, Herschel.
It's a lot crazy,
Yeah, a lot going on, huh?
Yeah, it really is.
Listen, I think federal government is getting, you know, it's not perfect for everywhere, but at least the House and hopefully the House had a majority. And I was saying, you got,
If
look
the
at
two
all
of you
those.
want to be to the side, you want to be there.
Okay. Do you want us on each side? Or do you want us on
That side is the
Oh, okay, so be on this side.
Yeah, you're the speaker, so it's good up
And I go out here?
I'm not even coming unless, so you're.
Oh,
Oh, you don't, oh, okay, okay.
So the mayor will be there if you want to be closer to the mayor.
okay.
That's perfect.
Here, we'll
Okay.
have any minute. Do you prefer to keep your documents in your hands, or do you want to put them here when
Yeah,
it's time to
that's a
speak?
good idea.
I'm
I'll
always
put them there.
careful that someone doesn't pick them up.
That's
Do you
good.
want to put your documents?
Oh,
here?
no, I'm okay, yeah, I just want. I can't see, I'm trying to figure out which one's mine.
Well, I tell you what, it happened to me once. Here, and then the person to speak to them.
I've had that happen.
They had a panic and we so they had another company that came in very quietly. It's not
Had a
good.
lot of that kind of weirdness happen.
Yeah, I never liked speeches, by the way.
Yeah.
It's just like reading, you know, now you have, you know, obviously you're going place to place.
That's the cause I from both places too.
Yeah,
So when everything is all subject.
It's hard, yeah, you start talking about the wrong thing, yeah, it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was like, that's right, because we usually bullet points, you just kind of, use the 4 or 5 things I'm going to talk about in this order, and then you kind of cover it. They sound more,
Real.
yeah, you start reading, you know, it's hard. You've done enough of that to understand it, yeah. So you enjoying Washington?
Well, I didn't get it.
This was never intended to be for the side. This was intended for all the reasons why I'm understanding right now to be a hardship assignment, but
Yeah, I wish, I hope, you know, I hope we find in the next president, you know, we've got to find it.
yeah.
I would say, you know, we're doing the right thing, I know that's you know what I mean?
When we voted on this package, this Friday, we sat there.
It's gonna be Jeff and Chief, and then if you can be on the side, and then we'll have the.
We're angry this side, how does
Yeah. Something's good, yeah, right, opposed to.
Looking for your best self. So everything is left, right?
So, we get this stuff almost too far.
How you doing?
All right, just waiting on the mayor here. Okay, no changes. Right, no. Yeah, you're home. So they had a couple, two or three, and the company.
I'm actually probably gonna be
She really
wrong,
wants
so
to
it's
put
quite a
out
bit closer.
some testing. So really,
I might come here.
steroids for 3 months. Depends on that. If the president loses, the trial should not be out. I'm sure I'm okay, but,
No, for me.
yeah, I know, yeah. Yeah. I'm on.
I have a
Well, I think we're gonna be fine there.
That's what he was trying to do. He was trying to do that.
Yeah.
This guy.
Don't wanna be.
So I'm pulling those tethers on him like the little kids.
When I went down, they
I
said,
keep them with me all the time.
you know, I thought they said 2 or 3 teaspoons. They came with a whole. Did you see that? I didn't. 6 MRIs.
Still getting calls. All right. Good. And they talked a lot about the pictures. That's good. That was a good idea.
Yeah, I think at this point you have to.
Good, so that worked out.
Stop, I worked it.
I was just gonna drop a picture on the side.
Already got 7% at one point. Ironically, the clients had an accident. Yeah, I mean, they know it's,
I'm gonna tell my sister the water. I couldn't give you mine, because my grandson and son, they chopped that. I told you there was only just a handful over there. Took the area real quick. I had a problem getting rid of it, hey, sister, she's been in 90. She was tired.
Hello, good afternoon. First, thank you again for being here, although I wish it was under better circumstances, as I have stated previously. Today, I am signing a declaration of disaster emergency for the city of Reading regarding the coronavirus or COVID-19. Before I begin, I would like to make clear that to date, we have no known or confirmed cases of COVID-19 virus here in the city of Reading, nor Berks County. I'm going to repeat that again. I would like to make clear that to date, we have no known or confirmed cases of COVID-19 virus here in the city of Reading or Berks County. However, signing this declaration today gives our city the tools that it would need to operate in the event the virus does arrive. First, I would like to announce that effective tomorrow morning, Tuesday, March 17, out of an abundance of caution and to help mitigate against potential spread of the virus, we are restricting the general public ability to access City Hall. Our offices will remain open for the time being, and employees will be here to conduct business by phone, email, and other means. If necessary, we may need to further restrict access in the future, and we will keep our staff updated accordingly in due time. Second, I am announcing with the agreement of the Reading Parking Authority that all garages will be open to the public to park their cars 24 hours a day. I am thankful to Executive Director Nathan Metz, Board President Frank Demboski, along with the rest of the board members of the Parking Authority Board. By declaring this declaration, Reading aligns itself with countless other cities and municipalities across the Commonwealth who have already taken such measures. This declaration also supports what Governor Tom Wolf has signed and implemented as well. We all must play our role in helping to stop this viral infection. With this declaration, the City of Reading can request additional assistance, if necessary, from our state or federal partners. It also would enable our local government to be more prepared and able to streamline the decision-making process on vital determinations that would be made in the days and weeks ahead. I want all of Reading to know that I have not taken this step lightly. In fact, I am signing this document today to help us contain and mitigate the virus and to ensure government is ready. As I have said all along, I will always work in your best interests. And since we first started monitoring COVID-19, I announced my intentions to partner locally across the state so that we can act quickly and accordingly based on the advice of medical professionals. Finally, I want to remind all residents, commuters, and visitors to please follow the best practices established by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention and the Pennsylvania Department of Health. These practices include washing your hands with soap and warm water for at least 20 seconds, clean and disinfect highly trafficked surface areas daily, for example, door handles, railings, elevator buttons, etc. Practice social distance by staying at least 6 feet away from other people. And finally, if you feel sick, then please stay home and self-isolate. As with all things, the only way we get through this is by doing this together. I must again remind our citizens to continue to be good neighbors. I continue to say we are each other's neighbors. So please, check in on those most vulnerable among us. And if you can, please lend a helping hand. I know that we will come out of this stronger and closer knit than we have ever been before. Please, let's all play our part. Earlier today, the governor said, stay calm, stay safe, and stay home. For more information, please visit berksdes.com. I repeat, berksdes.com. For city services, please contact the Citizen Service Center at 877-727-3234. I repeat, our Citizen Service Center, 877-727-3234. They can also reach us by email at csc@readingpa.gov and via the Reading iRequest application. I do want to say a few words in Spanish. Hoy estamos firmando una declaración de emergencia de desastre para la ciudad de Reading en relación con el coronavirus o COVID-19. Antes de empezar, me gustaría dejar claro que hasta la fecha no tenemos ningún caso certificado ni confirmado del virus en la ciudad de Reading o en el condado. Sin embargo, con la firma de esta declaración, le estaré dando a nuestra ciudad las herramientas necesarias para operar en caso de que el virus llegue aquí a la ciudad de Reading. Primero, me gustaría anunciar que a partir de mañana, martes 17 de marzo, a primera hora, por una gran cantidad de preocupación y para ayudar, mitigar la posibilidad de propagación del virus, estamos limitando la capacidad del público en general para acceder al ayudamiento municipal. Nuestras oficinas van a estar abiertas, pero solamente para los empleados. Al declarar esta emergencia, de desastre, Redding se une a las iniciativas que otras municipalidades y ciudades en todo el estado de Pensilvania ya han tomado. Esta declaración también coincide con lo que el gobernador Tom Wolf ha afirmado. Todos debemos de acompañar nuestro papel para ayudar a detener este virus de pandemia. Con esta declaración, la ciudad de Redding puede solicitar asistencia adicional si es necesario de nuestros compañeros estatal y federales. También permitirá a nuestro gobierno local estar mucho más preparado en ser capaz de agilizar el proceso en la toma de decisiones sobre las determinaciones vitales que se harán en los días y semanas próximas. De hecho, hoy firmo este documento para ayudarnos y contener y mitigar el virus y para asegurarnos que nuestro gobierno esté preparado. Como con todas las cosas, la única manera de salir de esta situación es haciendo lo correcto juntos. Debo volver a recordar a nuestros residentes que sigan siendo buenos vecinos unos a los otros. Comuníquense con las más vulnerables y si pueden, por favor, denle una mano. Estoy confiado que juntos saldremos más fuertes y unidos que nunca. Before I hand over the mic to the Honorable Congresswoman, I'd like to acknowledge a few people that are present who are handily available to answer a few question and answers after we conclude. Here today with me is, of course, Congresswoman Chrissy Houlihan. Thank you so much. Thank you. City Council President Jeff Wallman, who has been with me all weekend, making sure that we bring this in accordance. So thank you again. We also have City Councilwoman Lucine Schilling. I didn't want to mess it up. City Councilwoman Marsha Goodman Herniship. I practiced that one for a bit. City Councilwoman Melissa Ventura, City Councilman Stratton Mamaruth, City Councilwoman Donna Reed, City Councilwoman Johanny Cepeda, City of Reading Managing Director Pedro Cortez, who also have been working tirelessly, Reading Fire Chief William Strout Jr., Fire Marshal Jeremy Seifers, who is the City of Reading Emergency Management Coordinator, thank you. Lieutenant Clerk Lisenberger, who is one of the City Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator, Reading Police Chief Richard Ternelli, Deputy Chief Javier Ruiz. I also want to acknowledge our solicitor, Ms. Kraft, for again working tirelessly throughout this weekend. Thank you. And I cannot not acknowledge our awesome staff here in the City of Reading and in City Hall for your commitment to making sure that we stay calm and we prepare ourselves to what's to come. So with that said, I'd like to introduce our Congresswoman, the Honorable Chrissy Houlihan, who will let us to know how the federal government will respond on the ongoing crisis. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Moran, and to Council President, Mr. Waltman. And thank you to all of the first responders, all of the council members, and all of the leaders here in the Reading community. Thank you very much for your leadership at this time. I am Chrissy Houlihan, and I do represent our community down in Washington, D.C. I represent the 6th Congressional District. And as you probably know, this past weekend in Washington, we did pass a second major bill to help us respond to this crisis at a nationwide level. This bill was passed bipartisanly, meaning that both parties passed it, and for the state of Pennsylvania, we have 18 members of Congress, 9 Democrats and 9 Republicans, and all 18 members from Pennsylvania voted to pass this legislation, and this legislation was supported by the President of the United States as well. This second package of bills included ensuring that all Americans who need to get tested can do so for free. It also included emergency paid sick leave, unemployment insurance, and more Medicaid dollars for states like Pennsylvania to help deal with our response. We need the Senate of the United States to take this legislation up, and we need it to be sent to the President's desk. Previously, we also passed a first package of legislation to provide loans and financial relief for affected small businesses, and also to provide for research and testing for this virus. Again, importantly, all 18 Pennsylvania representatives supported this legislation, as did in this case the Senate and the President, and this first package of legislation was signed into law. Today, here in this community and across the Commonwealth and across the country, we are called upon to be our best selves in a very unusual and very stressful time. This is absolutely about our community as a whole, and the strategy that our governor and our local leaders here just today have laid out for mitigation efforts across the Commonwealth genuinely depends on all of us pulling together. It is as much about protecting our friends and our neighbors as it is about protecting ourselves. I am here to ask you that even if you feel well, even if you do not think you've been in contact with someone who's sick, please, please consider those around you who may be at high risk and in the high-risk categories. And I also want to say, as a former entrepreneur and chief operating officer of a company in our community, that if you are a small business owner and you are struggling with the decision of whether or not to close your doors in keeping with the governor's guidance, we in my office are here to try to help you with that as well. For any and all small business owners who are affected by this mitigation effort, please do reach out to our offices, Houlahan, HOULAHAN, .house.gov. We have staffers who we have dedicated to the impact of this virus and the impact that it's having on our small business community, and we are standing ready to work with you. Part of the first coronavirus emergency package in Congress provides $1 billion in loan subsidies, which would enable the Small Business Administration to provide an estimated $7 billion in low-interest loans to help small businesses affected by this outbreak. We will do our best to help you access resources to make those hard choices that we're all making a little easier. My office stands ready to help. Please do remember, as the mayor mentioned, that we need to stay home and stay safe and stay calm. And we need to make sure we're doing the simple things that we all learned when we were in kindergarten. Wash our hands frequently, cover our coughs with our elbows, clean up hard surfaces regularly, and stay home if you're not feeling well, even if you're in a critical position. Thank you again, Mayor Moran and Mr. Waltman, for having me here today. I really appreciate the opportunity to share what's happening in Washington with our community here in Reading.
Thank you, Congresswoman. I also want to remind the public once again that the Water Authority, the Reading Area Water Authority, has made themselves available to provide water for drinking water at no cost at their parking lot in Kutztown Road for anybody from Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Now I'm going to ask Managing Director, Mr. Pedro Cortez, to come to the podium and help direct any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as noted, if you were here on Friday when we laid out the county and the city's plans to address the coronavirus and our steps on prevention, this is an ongoing challenge that we continue to handle head-on. And I had the opportunity to speak today with our county commissioners, and they are certainly on board, and they're the ones leading the efforts for the prevention through the county's Department of Emergency Services, but we're all working together. As the Congresswoman noted, everyone from Congress down at the local level understand the seriousness of the issue and will act accordingly. Certainly open the floor now for questions that media may have, and we will direct that question to the appropriate person to respond. Jeremy?
With you said access to City Hall is going to be long, starting tomorrow. How long do you anticipate that, and what's that mean for City Council meetings or any other meeting that might be held after hours?
Okay. So the operation of the city government will continue to take place. The staff, some will meet here, others will work remotely, so access to our services will continue. What we're limiting is the public access to the building itself, and that's to keep with the best practices of social distancing. And with how long will that last? We anticipate at a minimum 2 weeks. Most of the schools and other entities that are being asked to close their doors to limit access to person are doing so for 2 weeks. So we'll start at 2 weeks and we'll see where we are when the time comes and then revisit the issue.
Does that mean people can attend city council meetings?
And as far as meetings for council, I'll ask Council President to speak about it. Certainly, you may know that on the declaration, the emergency declaration issued by the governor, and as well as our declaration, there's flexibility in the conduct of meetings. We still have to meet with requirements of the Sunshine Act, but they're limited in that it could be done virtually. And so we're working with the Pennsylvania Office of Public Records to make sure that we do meet the legal mandates. But that's what this declaration does, is allows flexibility in the way we operate government, including procurement. That's so that we can act efficiently and promptly. Anyone else from media?
Free parking, is that going to be like 2 weeks as well?
Yeah, at the moment, that's the plan. And again, we want to thank the Reading Parking Authority for their flexibility. So beginning tomorrow, the parking will be made available 24 hours a day with no charge. And that will be at least for 2 weeks, and it will be revisited by the board after that. Ms. Perez?
But citizens who want to comment on any business that council wishes to discuss and vote on, or the administration, how can they participate during this time of closure in City Hall?
Yeah, we are going that's what the procedures allow us to do, to look into not just the requirements, but access, which is important. So that we will be communicating those shortly. There will be a meeting of the council following this press conference, and we are, again, looking at how we maintain the opportunity for the public to comment, but do so with the best practices of the social distancing. So we're not shutting down for business, although that's an option. All options are on the table. And again, that's up to council to decide whether we are curtailing or shortening the meetings at the moment. But if the meetings are conducted, they will comply with the open records as allowed by the state government under the Declaration of Emergency Services. Councilwoman?
Is metered parking free as well, or simply the garage?
Good question. So the laws pertaining to parking in the city are not, and I repeat, are not suspended. The laws that apply to parking and not double parking, not blocking fire hydrants, not parking too close to the end of the street, all of that still remains in play. Parking meters will still operate. What we are doing is that to allow for additional space. It could well be because individuals have been asked to stay home or care for family members and might be in the city. We want to make sure that the parking at least is an accommodation. How much it will be used, we're not sure, but at least, again, is as an option. But that doesn't remove the other requirements to comply with the requirements of the law with our streets here in the city.
If I may.
Yes, sir.
Again, all operations continue to act accordingly, from Public Works and cleaning our streets. That will continue, and they will continue to monitor, the law. So it's very important that everyone moves their vehicles when they're supposed to. Otherwise, they're gonna be ticketed. So please make sure that you are aware. Director, do you have anything to add? Okay.
And just also, Jeremy, back to your question in terms of the communication that the public will have with City Hall. As it was noted before, we will be posting throughout the building, and we'll communicate through social media, phone numbers, websites that can be used for the public to reach our citizens service center. So the operation still remains. It's just, again, over the phone primarily or online. So we'll be publishing those numbers and also the address, which in fact the mayor gave before. So we have a primary number that will be used.
Pedro, if I could
Yeah,
just
please.
add, so regarding the council meetings, as Pedro stated, we are looking in with our solicitor into the options we have available to us to hold them publicly yet in a safe manner. I expect we'll have a press release probably mid to later this week regarding our meeting next Monday night is our next business meeting. We want the public to know we will be continuing to conduct the business of city government as we need to, of course, led by the administration, but council's role from a legislative standpoint will go forward. We have a brief meeting this evening to carry on with business, so I think the message is to do what you need to do, but do it safely, and we're going to take every precaution necessary to protect the public. At the same time, continue the business of city government. So we'll get more information out as we determine what that will look like. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Have fire and police been taking extra precautions or anything like that on their day-to-day operations?
Yeah, so yes, in fact, we have been scrubbing, so to speak, cleaning City Hall. So our staff from Public Works have been doing, some overtime to make sure that our facilities are clean, and we are encouraging our staff to also wipe their areas. So we're providing the sanitizing wipes to be able to do that. As far as our police officers, for example, they're doing the same with their vehicles. So the police cruisers are also being wiped and cleaned regularly. Since we're suspending the person-to-person contact with the public in the building itself, we don't have, for example, the need to have staff from the Treasury use gloves, so that was an option that was on the table. And by the way, as I speak about Treasury, we also have the means to collect and accept payment as is needed, as is required, over the phone as well as online, and so those services will continue to be provided. But yeah, we're using the best practices that have been noted by the CDC and the Governor's Office, Department of Health, as it relates to keeping your work area clean. And that's why, again, we're taking the extraordinary measure of closing City Hall to the public to, again, mitigate or try to curtail the spread of the virus. Yes, please.
Another question. I
Sure.
apologize.
That's okay, please.
The homeless population of the city, how are we helping them deal with the social distancing and the issues that accompany that?
Yeah.
Including first responders.
Yeah, so as you, so just to address first the homeless as it relates to their services. The mayor and our offices have been in contact with the organizations. As you know, we have, Madam Councilwoman, we have a number of organizations that assist the homeless in the city, in addition to the county. So we are working collaboratively with all partners to ensure that services are still being provided. And so that's one action. You had a question related to, do you speak about police and other first responders dealing with?
As they try to help them.
Sure.
Contact.
Correct. So I'm going to ask our fire marshal, who's also our emergency coordinator for the city, Marshal Searfoss, to speak of the issue of what is our plan that we have in place for first responders to deal with homeless and others in need in our community.
So at this point in time, we've provided information to the police department, has disseminated information as well as the fire department to our members, those cautionary signs and symptoms that they can observe on an individual. To use caution, the personal protective equipment is available to us as well. We are most concerned about those who may not have the ability to self-isolate. We've been working effectively with Tower Health as well as the Penn State St. Joe's Hospital to mitigate in those specific situations, and the hospital has been very helpful in that. So we have generally reached out to the hospital and forwarded feedback from them on how to get this accomplished for individuals that might be transient and not have a permanent place to self-isolate. Thank you.
Other questions? Yes. They will.
Relating to the school district, I went on site online for the Reading School District and the Muhlenberg School District, and I was concerned that there was no announcement talking about closing up the schools or the mandate that Governor Wolf had put for the K-12 schools. And instead, I saw something like the kids they're having an in-service day, and the kids are expected to week.
No,
Is that true?
no, that's not the case.
Okay.
So the school district, not to confuse the issues, we have and I don't speak for the Reading School District, so let's be clear on that. I'll just give you information that I know is of common knowledge. When we held the press conference on preparations last Friday, Dr. Mamin spoke of the plans at that very time, which was noontime on Friday, that the schools were closed on Friday because they were doing a massive cleaning of the buildings. That cleaning was to continue today with for being an in-service day, so students were not going to be physically in the building. However, the cleaning will continue. In the afternoon, later in the day, the governor announced that all schools had to close, and that was not voluntary. All schools in Pennsylvania are closed for the next 2 weeks. So it's the same for everybody, applies to the Reading School District, Muhlenberg, and any other municipality in the state.
Thank you for clarifying.
Sure, thank you. And I will take one more question. Is there any pressing issue from anyone? If not, Mr. Mayor?
So again, I want to thank you all once again for conveying the information, for once again coming together and being good neighbors. In closing, I want to once again utilize the words of the governor, which is stay calm, stay safe, stay home. God bless you all. Dios me lo bendiga. Pasen buenas tardes.
You know, it's funny, Darren's the only one that knew.